Well, hello there again, friends and family. As you can see, we're out in the Focus again today. And you might wonder what we've been doing. Well, we've been having to work on a little Focus. You might have noticed in the last ride around or two, every once in a while, it doesn't want to quite shift right, and it jerks a little bit. Some of you may have noticed, maybe not. Anyway, I had to do some work on that. Had to get me a brand new scanner so it would read this car. My older one wouldn't. Of course, I'd had it since, probably 2000. But anyway, I was overdue for one. So I got a new one, and it did have the check engine light on. Went ahead and hooked her up, read the codes, went ahead and erased the codes just to see if they'd stay off, and they did. And I took it for a short drive right after that, and it seemed to drive just fine. And so far, check engine light hasn't come back on. But it needs to be driven a little bit longer, a little bit farther, just to see how it's going to do. So I thought, why not just invite all of y'all along? So why don't y'all jump on in, buckle on up, and everything, and we'll take a ride. And you might ask where we're going. Well, since we're going to be riding anyway, we're going to take a ride back in history to another very special place. Maybe two. We'll just have to see how it goes. So get on in, get buckled up, be quiet now, and behave. And let's get this show on the road. Well, you can hear the birds out. And it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. We're getting an early start today. Well, we've been up since 6. But for us getting out away from the house, we are. And you can see we've got partly cloudy sky. You can see some blue up there. Everything's coming alive though. All the trees are starting to bud out. Some of them nearly got all their leaves on. Now, I did say we were going back in time, right? And we are. Actually, we're going back once more 80 years into time. Oh yeah. To right around the beginning of World War II. Well, World War II for America, that is. I wonder if you can even guess where we might be going. And I bet you wouldn't guess that something so famous would be so close to my little old hometown. Or not hometown, but my town. That's where I live. It's become my hometown. Here in Tallahassee, Alabama. Yep, ain't gonna be far. Now it is outside the city limits. It's out in the country. In fact, it's gonna be in a whole different county. We're not gonna be in Tallapoosa, which is where I live, or even across the river in Elmore County. Nope. Where we're going, and might give you a hint, we're going into Macon County. We surely are. But along the way, you can see how spring is looking right here in the deep south, because it is officially spring. I believe this is what, day 2 officially of spring. I do know some places I've been seeing up north still, y'all couldn't tell it. Still got snow on the ground, and some of you are still getting some. Whew, Bradford pears there are starting to put leaves on now. Their blossoms are starting to fall off. Yep, we're going to be heading on down Lower River Road here. Someday I want to show you that house right there on the right. It's for sale too. You're interested. It's high though. And of course you see what's left of our mill. Mill 3 and 4 there on the right. That was such a shame when that caught fire. We truly did lose part of the heart of our little town. And we're just going over Stone Creek there. I took y'all back there. Back on down by the river. I don't think I've ever taken you down this particular stretch of highway. But if you pay close attention, you'll see many trees out there along the edge of the forest, all blooming. Even the dogwoods are in bloom now. Of course, you might as well say the pine trees are too, as are the oaks. But something I'm noticing is the pecan trees have yet to bud out or blossom. And yes, they have blossoms too. See right there on the right, that's a dogwood. Simply beautiful. Yep, pecans, they haven't woke up yet. Which reminds me of what the old timers used to say. Not that I'm a youngin', but to them I was. And that was, you didn't plant your gardens till the pecan trees started to bud out. Yep, that's a fact. And I'm thinking, somewhere in by Good Friday, they'll start. And I'm going to keep a close eye of attention on that this year. Because here again, I've always been told right here in my neck of the woods, you'd always be safe if you planted on Good Friday or shortly thereafter. So we ain't in no rush. We got all the way till nearly the end of December to grow veggies and whatever we want here in the South. I know for many of y'all don't have that luxury. But I do gotta get things started going. But appears like the Focus is driving just fine. Transmission shifting just fine. And we would have all felt it if it had still been having the problems. Because the last time I took it out, it scared me twice. Because it didn't shift at all between one gear change. I think it was between first and second. It just did nothing. Almost came to a full stop. And that's when I decided I need to do something. And I've always done my own car maintenance, upkeep, and all repairs. And I still am trying to. Though it does get harder with age, eyesight ain't quite what it used to be. I have to wear glasses. Not as strong as I once was. I don't take to laying on the driveway or even in the carport nearly as good as I used to. Didn't used to bother me a bit. Things sure are looking gorgeous. Plenty of grass on the side of the roads for the deer. And I'm sure if I go driving in the early mornings before sunup, probably around 2 or 3 in the early morning, maybe 4, deer will be out here eating that luscious green grass right along these highways, especially down in here. So far away from town, just a few people live down this road. Further back off you get into it. Oh, the plums are blooming too. Did you see those on the left? Those are wild plums. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to remember those. Well, so far I'm just tickled pink that the car is doing just fine. I mean, the whole problem started when I let the battery drain down one time. Forgot to take the car out and drive it some. And then the battery went totally dead. These modern day cars will draw one totally down. Because turning the key off don't turn everything off. They got passive security systems and all kinds of junk that stays going. It was my own fault. But I jumped it off. Took it for a ride. And I noticed it was shifting a little rough then. And it just progressively got worse. And I should have took action when that there light came on. But it wasn't nothing but an annoyance at first. But I knew I had to do something when it was stalling out. So far, so good. By the time we end this trip, we'll know for sure. Or at least for today. And that's all you can ask for. Won't be long now, and we'll be able to get out in the truck. Of course, it would be a little brisk out there for y'all right now. In the truck. It's only 55 degrees. Yep. Our temperatures dropped way off after that front came through with all those storms that plummeted Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma, I think even Louisiana and Arkansas. And we've been chilly ever since. I guess you'd say more like spring would normally be, because being up in the low to mid 80s was not normal. At least not that I can remember. And as you can see, we're getting really rural. Now, as y'all know, the Focus is a time machine. You know, I have let you in on that little secret. But you have to pay real close attention to when we actually transition time. It's quick. It only takes a second. And magically, we're back to a time long ago in America. You know, I think that's something we have lost. And I always try to instill it in my children and in my grandson, Davy, imagination. Imagine how the world would be once we lose it all together. In my belief, we are losing it day by day, month by month, and year by year. But we're about to transition back before the war. World War II, that is. So hold on. Make sure you're buckled up, or you have got a good hold on something, or your seatmate. Because it's just right on down here. I can already see the portal starting to form. Yep. Faintly. But it won't be long now. I don't know if you heard it or felt it, but all of a sudden there, we went back in time. Oh yeah. We're now in the year 1941. Yep. We surely are. It's hard to tell the difference, but trust me, we are. And to the right of us is why we actually came here, or why we picked here for our test drive. Now it may not look like much, but it has got some history to it. And what it is the original home of the Tuskegee Airmen. Yep. It is Sharpe's Field. That's S-H-A-R-P-E Field. And I know you can't see it. But trust me, it's over there. Now I may have missed the gates. Nope. Here they are. I was just getting impatient. And we're going to just pull right on in here. Off the road a bit. And we're going to get out and chat a minute or two while we're here. Yes, I figured we'd come over here, and we're going to make one more stop. But yep, this is Tuskegee Army Airfield. It was the home for the 332nd Fighter Group and the 477th Bombardment Group. But it was also the original home of the Tuskegee Airmen. Sure was. The first African-American fighter and bomber pilots. Yep. This is where they received the bulk of their training. And now these gates were put in by the current landowners. This is privately owned now by the Bradford Family Partnership. And my son and James and I, we've walked all over this base. And it was a complete Army Air Force base that was started construction in 1941, July of 1941. And started training the first pilots, the Tuskegee Airmen, by November of that year, even though it was, the airfields were only partially paved. Construction was still going on in the base. I'll be showing you aerial photographs that were taken in 1941 and on up through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Because the base now is nothing more than one runway left. Originally it had 4. Now only 1 remains. The tarmacs are still there. They were concrete and that. But interestingly, this was the main entrance, and of course the gates weren't here, but there would have been a guard gate here and that. And you can see the curbs right here. And if you look through here, you can see the curbing still there. And this is the actual roadway. Of course, now, over time, sand and dirt and grass has grown up in it. But it's still there. Well, the gate's open. So I guess, you know, we can step through real quick. But you can still walk this. I'd have to get permission, and I can if you'd like. And it's still got all the roads intact. It's underneath here. And we'll be able to find them just by the curbs that you're seeing still in place. Because here again, they were made out of the native gravel here. Not limestone like modern concrete. You can see it right here. It's what I refer to as the River Creek. Indestructible stuff. But yeah, back in oh Lord, 2000 to probably 2003, James and I walked this whole entire military base. Now all the buildings are gone. The base was deactivated in 1946. Of course, World War II ended in 1945. And at that time it was sold to the city of Tuskegee. And most of the buildings were moved off and moved into the town. I'm sure they were auctioned or sold off to individuals. They came out and moved them. They were all up on, you know, concrete footers and pillars, easy enough to move. But it's still a beautiful place today. Mostly pines. And I do know the family that owns this raises a type of fallow deer here as well. And that. But from the time this base was in operation, and it continued on up this road here where you can see these gates are, they're chained. And the original water tank is still up there. The one that was fed and supplied the base starting in 1941. Still there. But 992 African American fighter, and later, starting in the late mid 40s, I think 44 to 45, bomber pilots were also trained. They were trained in the trainers for the B-25 Mitchell bomber. Now the Tuskegee Airmen, the fighter pilots, they trained here in P-39 and P-40 fighters. Now they didn't receive all their training here. Here they received the basic flight training, which I'm sure was mostly classroom and ground-based simulator. Then they went on to another field, which we're going to go over and visit, because that's where they've got the Tuskegee Airmen Museum. It's not here. It's at another field, 6 miles away. And it was at that field where they were given their primary flight training. After they completed basic here, they went to what's called Moton Field. That's M-O-T-O-N, Moton Field. And there they did their primary flight training. And that was in monoplanes and biplanes. And when they completed that, they came back here for their advanced training. The fighter group, like I said, P-39s and P-40s. And the bomber group was B-25 Mitchells, or the trainer for the B-25 Mitchell. I didn't look it up to see what it looked like. I'm sure it looked like a bomber. And then they did their transitional training here too as well. So, the base was only open from the time construction started in 1941 till late 1946. You might as well say a little over 5 years. And then it was finished. But it was massive, 2,600 acres. At one time, it held over 3,400 U.S. Army personnel in total. In fact, I think the number was 3,414 that lived here, ate here, and then went to war in Europe. Yes, the Tuskegee Airmen flew in the European theater. And if you want to watch 2 real good movies, you know, something to do on a Saturday night, of course, the first one I'd recommend is the Tuskegee Airmen. I think it was filmed in 1995. The second one I would recommend is called Red Tails. That was produced in 2012. And both are excellent movies. And I'm sure y'all are familiar that Tuskegee Airmen were some of the most highly decorated fighter pilots in World War II. Yes, they were. But it's hard to believe that much history occurred right here, basically 8 miles from my house. Maybe 10. As a crow flies, only 8. Or as a plane flies. But we're going to get on back in the car. I would encourage you to watch Tuskegee Airmen and or the Red Tails movie. Both of them are great movies. So let's get back in the car because the old man's starting to shake. And we're going to head on over to Moton Field. And I do apologize that there wasn't a whole lot to see but a gate and some pine trees and the curbs there for the main entrance. I'll see if I can contact the Bradfords and see if they'll let me do a tour of it again. I'm sure they won't mind. Now, I said Moton Field was where we're going. Now over there is where the Tuskegee Airmen National Museum is. And it's ran by the U.S. Park Service. Yep. It's, you know, historical national monument. And rightfully so. And of course, you might not know, Tuskegee Institute is a famous African American university. Yep, sure is. Oh, I just love those wake-up strips, don't y'all? Now, you might be wondering, if most of their training was held there at Sharps Field, why didn't they put the museum and everything over there? Well, that's simple. It's privately owned. Moton Field, where the Tuskegee Airmen did their primary flight training and monoplanes and biplanes, is owned by the city of Tuskegee. So it just makes sense. Now granted, they weren't in actual fighter planes or bombers over at Moton Field. I mean, it's just got one runway, where Sharps Field had 4. And once you see the aerial photographs from back in 41, I think I've got one from 41, might be 45 or 46, 50, 61, and on up. I'll label them. It was an impressive base once it was completed. And once you see the runways and the extent of them, you'll be able to see, you know, it was not only for fighters, but for bombers as well. In fact, you'll actually be able to see where the bombers and the fighters would touch down when they first come in for a landing. You can see the black marks on the runways. I've always thought that was sort of neat. Now it's been a minute, as the youngins would say, since I've been on down this particular way. So hopefully I don't get lost. But somehow I don't think so. I just thought since I needed to drive a Focus, we'd drive someplace at least a little bit interesting. Maybe spark your imagination. Or your curiosity. I'm a curious type. When I see something, like the first time I seen that old abandoned airfield on Google Earth, I told James, we got to go check that out. Of course, back then, it was nearly totally abandoned. Nobody was living on the place at the time. Now, the Bradfords do have a lodge, and I think there's 2 houses also on the property. And I do know there used to be a state trooper who lived there on the property as well. And that's intentional. Somebody got to look after. And you might wonder, well, why didn't the U.S. government buy the property, or state of Alabama or city of Tuskegee, so they could put the museum and everything right there on Sharps Field. It wasn't for sale. Now, I can't say I blame the Bradfords a bit for that. It is a beautiful piece of land, even still today. And it still has one runway intact. And we're about to go under I-85 for those of you who care. Looks like we got some people traveling today. It shouldn't be much longer now. We'll be at Moton Field. Unfortunately, the museum is closed because of COVID. Yep. But here again, if y'all would be wanting, I can most likely take us on. I can most likely take us on over by and visit you. Well, y'all, somehow we missed it, and I don't know how. Did y'all see it? I didn't see it. You know, sometimes when you get old, you have one of those there brain, what do they call it? To be nice, I'll call it a brain burp. Some people call it a brain fart. Pardon my language, ladies. But I think they changed the way this road went since the last time I was over here. That just tells you how long it's been. I think we got to go down here to the right a bit. Yep, I'm thinking. And if I would have just paid attention, I'd have been thinking right. Yeah, it didn't always come out there. Yep, there it is, Tuskegee Airmen. See, it goes up here now and jogs off. Didn't used to do that. I had a guy in a Cadillac come up so fast he liked to rammed right into me. Yep, there we are. Tuskegee Airmen, National Historic Site. And there it is. Moton Field. right there. Now this is an active airport. Home of the Tuskegee Airmen. Sure is. But you know, for years, there was no mention of Sharps Field. It was all like it took place right here. I, for one, knew that was not the case. And you may ask yourself, well, what's it even matter? Well, historical accuracy to me matters. And there's the hangar, the original one, built in 1941. And we're going to take a little ride here on this here non-conventional gravel road where we can get a good look at. And then we're going to go up to where the museum's at. But there's the original hangar right there in front of you. You don't see hangars like that anymore these days. I think it's rather unique. Imagine, that was built in 1941. Still here. You see the control tower out there? And there's the other hangar. It too. And I'll leave a link to some historical photos, or it's actually a website with some, that will show you these buildings back in 1941. And they look unchanged. I mean, look at that control tower. Yep. Once the Tuskegee Airmen had their basic training over at Sharps Field, like I said, I believe that was the classroom portion, and flight simulators, you know, basically a bench with a stick and some pedals. Then they'd come over here to get their first time to sit down in an actual airplane. And I think most of y'all my age or older know what a biplane is. You know, it's like what they used in World War I. And a monoplane. And as you might imagine, that gravel road, that's original. I mean, this is the original portion. What I just showed you, the two hangars, and then you saw some barracks off right in between them. Those are original structures, as was the control tower. And just think about it. The hangars were brick and of course metal super roof structures. That control tower was all bricked up to the very top, and then where the controllers sat and observers, it was wood and of course glass. So that was just a little quick tour today of the original Moton airfield. Then you got to come down here ways, and this will take us in to the Tuskegee Airmen Museum. Some kind of way. Yeah, that's open. Or at least the gates are. How about that? We'll just drive around here, see how much trouble we can get into. Well, we can get in so much trouble that we just pulled into a small parking lot that overlooks Moulton Field. It's been so long since I've been over here. And there are a few vehicles here. Well, as you can see, we're out here taking a little walk, see what we can see, because we got a little walkway here. Parked car for a minute, and it's chilly, it's windy, but they say the cold air is good for my lungs. I think next time I go see the doctor, which is going to be next week, I'm going to ask him, well, just how cold? Because 51 with this much wind, I'm wondering. But back before COVID, this place would see many a visitors every day. Pretty much got it to ourselves. There are a few people here. I see 3 off to the left, and they are flying the flag at half-mast today. Whew. We're walking right into it now. I'm sure y'all can hear it. I'm not going to apologize like everybody does on YouTube. Nothing I can do about the wind. That's God's doing. God, Mother Nature. Ain't got nothing to do with old Mr. Tom. And I've learned never apologize for God. Oh, we're going to be able to overlook the hangars. Yep. And you can see right there, I'm not sure what building that is. The white one. The green one looks more like the traditional barracks and that were even over at Sharps Field. There's a good view of the hangar. You can see the top of the control tower there, and that. As you can see, now the back side of the first hangar there. And what it says here: welcome. From where you're standing, you can see the historic core of Moulton Field. The named facilities have been restored, and hangars 1, 2, control tower, and the Skyway Club our museum facilities. So I'll bet that right down there, that white building, I bet that's the Skyway Club. I bet it is. You will also learn about the 4 frame structures on the property during your visit. We suggest you begin your tour of the park with an orientation at Hangar 1. The walking trails are marked with signs leading you to Hangar 1. From here, if you follow the trail to the left at the fork in the trail, you can either turn right to pass by the Skyway Club, or to the left to explore the scenic route by the way of C. Alfred Chief Anderson Historic Road. As you make your way to Hangar 1, look for the sign that reads, "Welcome, Orientation, Hangar 1." It's got, you know, an arrow this way. Whew. And there's a picture right there. Oh yeah, you see? There's that building right down there. Yep, just like it once was. Of course, that one's missing, but you can still see that right there. Yep, Moton Field was built by Tuskegee Institute, now Tuskegee University, in 1941, after the school contracted with the U.S. Army to provide primary flight training for the nation's first African-American military pilots. By the end of World War II, almost 1,000 African Americans had earned their wings. Their flight training began here. Thousands of military and civilian support personnel helped them reach their goal. If it wasn't so windy, you could almost hear them out there and hear the engines revving. Maybe that's what I'm hearing. Well, let's take a walk. We'll take a walk about and head on down here. And like I say, it's a operating airfield. Mostly single engine airplanes. Of course, that's fitting, ain't it? That's what they had back in the day. Now you can see the main entrance. The original one's right there. You can see the gates way out there in the distance. Those would have been the front gates. Got 3 people. Oh, Mr. Tom, I ain't gonna do that much walking. We're gonna take the shortcut. We're gonna walk on down this way and check these buildings out. Not all of them. I really like what they've done with those hangars. They got them all fixed back up, looking prime, just like they did in that picture from 1941. That's what every city, town, state, and part of this nation should be doing. Preserving our history. Not destroying it. Not hiding it. Or only preserving what we'd like. And you can see how these buildings were put up on pillars. That's the way they were over at Sharps Field too. And this would have been the Skyway Club, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. There ain't no sign. But it reminds me of the buildings that used to be on a lot of Army posts back when I was a little boy. Similar construction on all Army bases. Because back during the 50s and 60s, because my father was in the U.S. Army, I saw a lot of military bases. Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Can't remember the one in Texas. It wasn't Fort Hood, because we were down by El Paso. Let's see what it says. It was called DOPE. During World War II, primary training airplanes were built mostly of wood and fabric. Ground crews sealed and strengthened fabric with several applications of highly flammable explosive acetate coating called DOPE. This shed was used to store the dope. Applying dope could be a messy job. If not done correctly, the wear and tear on heavily used training aircraft gave ground crews plenty of opportunities to learn application and safety procedures. Need to change plexiglass, don't they? Hard to read and see. So that's what these buildings were for. Of course, for some reason, they've got the windows blacked out. Hold on a minute, I gotta blow my nose. Okay, we're back. Yeah, buddy. I remember this old clapboard type construction. That definitely reminds me of what Fort Sill used to look like. Oh, this is the bath and locker house. This building was completed in 1941 as a restroom, shower, and locker room for administrative and support personnel. It had facilities for both men and women. Both black and white may have used the building. If so, it almost certainly would have been the only integrated facility of its kind in the South at that time. The bath and locker house was probably not used by cadets, since they were at Mote Field only a few hours a day. The mechanics, such as the one shown in this photograph, needed someplace to shower and store their clothes while working on airplanes and other vehicles. So, this was the restrooms and shower house. Now, how neat is that? Now it says staff offices only, not open to the public. And there's another one of those dope buildings. Of course, now it's got where the fire department connects up to. No, they said this shed is the oil storage shed. The other one was a dope shed. This was the oil storage shed. Both similar construction, exactly the same. I'll bet this was hangar 1. Man. I think I can hear a biplane warming up now. Listen. Do you hear it? The tarmac between the two hangars was a busy part of Moton Field. Cadets arriving by bus were dropped off here and went to their duties in preparation for flight training. Others boarded the buses to return to Tuskegee Institute campus. Fuel trucks and the medical truck were often parked here too. Imagine what a cadet felt for the first time he stepped off the bus and onto the Moton Field tarmac. You know, I've often said I have lived in the wrong time. What I wouldn't have gave to have lived back, I'd say from about 1930 on. Yeah, I know. I'd have been living right through the Great Depression. Well, I've been growing up in it. But my mom and daddy did. And they made it. I think I would have made it too. Well, there's no plane activity. But I'll swear to you, I thought I could hear one revving up, and I think I still can. And I'll bet that's where they kept the fuel. I bet there's a big old fuel tank right underneath here. It would make sense. And there's another one right over there. Yep, and this is hangar 2. And that's all the hangars it ever had. Just 2. And imagine, they're still here. And like I said, unfortunately, it's closed. Such a shame. I'm not sure I would have went in today, even if it had been open. I mean, look at the design, the way they did the brickwork. A little bit of style. And that's solid brick. Ain't like the brick we got today with all the holes in it, which is just brick brocade. This is the real deal here, Lucille. These babies are solid, and they were made right here in Alabama. Yes, buddy. I don't know if the camera will pick up that staircase. Simply beautiful. There's a survey marker right there, put in 1945. Yep. Coast and Geode Tick Survey Mark, benchmark. That was way before GPS. These are all over in specific locations. I know here in the state of Alabama, and I'll bet they're in your state too. That was pre-Google. Look at that staircase. I hope the camera's getting it. Ooh, it's cold. And here, you can still see some gravel. It's probably for parking. Or, you know, fuel trucks, fire trucks, Jeeps, deuce and a halves. Now this building we're coming up on now, which is also original building, it's of different construction. We don't want you to look at these sidewalks. These bad boys were built in 1941. Ain't got the first crack in them. Yeah, you don't see that anymore in modern sidewalks. Oh, this was a warehouse and vehicle storage. This building served as the garage for Moten Field's small fleet of support vehicles. It provided storage at night and drive-through vehicle maintenance by day. Rooms on the north side provided office space for maintenance staff, file storage for vehicle records. The National Park Service uses this building in much the same way today for storage and maintenance of the groundskeeping equipment. The building's not open to the public, but you can see it's built of a stone face type block. Or I'm thinking that's block. Surely they're not solid. But this sidewalk right here, which you can see the native stone in it. This is some more of that, what I call River Creek. Not even a crack in 80 years. I mean, come on. Now, I'm not sure what these are supposed to be. I guess there was a building here, you know, originally, back when the field was constructed. So maybe that's what it denotes. You'll have to come over here one time when things get opened up and check it out. Take the tour maybe. I sort of just like doing this. Walking out at my own pace. Stopping and looking at stuff that's probably nobody else cares about. Like stonework. Sidewalks. Most people probably just don't even have an inkling. See, I mean, it's like this stone retaining wall here. I like to look at stuff like that. I mean, it's put together with native materials, and it's still here. Those Chinzi cement blocks you can buy now that you got to handle very carefully or they'll crack or break. Oh, they won't be around in 80 to 100 years. Trust me that. Look at how they had that screened in porches. That's probably where you came out, got your fresh air, as in smoking. Yeah, it had a little chimney. Probably at one time had a potbelly stove there, if I had to guess. Well, we're gonna head her on back to the car. The old man's starting to get a little chilly. Even though the sun's out, look at that sky. Not a cloud in the sky now. Thank you, Father. And I still hear in the background something that sounds like a plane engine. Sort of strange. There goes the fuel truck. Heading out probably to fill up a plane. Maybe somebody's going to take one up. Be a nice day for it. Yep, right down there. They would have come through those gates. You can't drive down it now. You have to walk on around this path if you want to go in the front gates. I took the shortcut. Somebody important died. To have the flag flying at half mast. Don't pay much attention to news anymore. I just give it a quick glance. Here comes that wind again. Plenty of benches to sit on. Relax. Ponder your thoughts. But I thought it'd be nice, since I had to drive somewhere, might as well drive someplace interesting. Well, it does appear it's only me and one other vehicle here. The other one left. They sort of cruised pretty fast. I took my time. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, you know, one day we ever get over this virus, we can come back. We can take the full-blown tour. Learn a lot more, I'm sure, than what I know. Go in the museum. I've seen pictures of it. But I also have a screenshot of Moton Field, what it currently looks like from the air today. Couldn't find any historical aerial photography of it. And I tried. The only ones I could find was of Sharps Field. And they'll be at the end of the video. Well, there's the focus covered in pollen. Wind's starting to blow some of it off, but that pollen sticks. Well, let's get in and get warmed up a little bit, okay? Well, I don't know how much more y'all get to see. That's pretty much it for history. And that. The old GoPro's telling me this battery's getting low. You know, cold makes it run down even faster. You know, it's a darn shame you gotta put speed bumps in a parking lot. That just shows you, back to that one word, respect. But we'll take you on back to the house. And I'll tell you what, if the camera runs out of battery along the way, well, I won't know it. I'll probably just be jabberjawing, not paying any attention, you know. But if it should run down, I'll give it a little bit of charge. I'll come back and chat at you. Maybe we'll get lucky. Woo, there's some potholes right there. Tell you what, that sun got this here car warmed right up. Well, you learned a little bit, or I hope you did. And I hope it encourages you and inspires you to learn even more. Okay, now we turn here. I don't know why they did the road the way they did it. But I guess they just showed you. Old Mr. Tom ain't been over here in quite some time. I think it was probably last time I was here was around 2006, maybe 2008. So it's been a minute, as the youngins would say. Now I got to keep an eye out for my turn. Well, there's no telling where all of us will end up. Now y'all all buckle in and quit fidgeting back there. I know you're a little bit chilly. I got the heat on. whoever's humming, stop it. But I've always been fascinated with history of all types. And to have something like Moulton Field and Sharps Field, you know, to have something like Moulton Field and Sharps Field right here, almost literally in my backyard, I think it's quite amazing. And you would think, with it being that close, that, you know, we'd come visit it more often. You know, that just ain't the way it is, folks. You come visit once, been there, done that. We did it with the kids. I think a time or two. And then that was it. But I can't tell you how much respect and awe I have for those young men. They were the first. They were the leaders for black aviators. Think about that. Think about if you are the first in something. They had to be scared out of their minds. Not just because they were going to war. If I'd been them, I'd been scared of failure. But you know what? They didn't fail. They showed they were far more incapable. In fact, the Red Tails, the fighter group, became known all over the European theater. The Germans, they feared them. They were some fighter pilots. Many of them became aces. And here's the old CSX line. Runs from Montgomery up to Atlanta. Been there since before the Civil War, it was. Yep, my road should be the next county road to the left. That'll take us on past Sharps Field, back on to the house. Now we're crossing over right now Chewacla Creek. That's a mouthful. Of course, it is named after Native Americans. Not sure what it means. And it's like C-H-E-W C-A-C-L-A, something like that. Chewacla. Or at least that's the way I think you pronounce it. I may be totally misrepresenting that. Well, I can't believe that sky just cleared up and became so blue and beautiful. I think it did that just for Mr. Tom and all my friends and family today. What do y'all think? It seems like most times we come out riding, somehow, before the ride's over, we got those deep blue skies. Ooh, I saw that guy talking on his cell phone, and I thought, this first time I've checked to see that mine's still in my pocket, my jacket pocket. Boy, that'd been terrible again to lose it. Yep, here's County Road 56. Takes us back on by Sharps Field. Of course, to the left there, that's all was the Sharps U.S. Army Air Force Base, or Army Air Corps as they call it. Now some people call it U.S. Army Air Force. Some call it by its proper name, the USAAC, which is what it was known for during World War II, and I'm sure World War I. Because the Air Force, I don't think, existed till 1949. You know, bringing water along and then not drinking it, that don't make no sense, does it? I get to run in my mouth thinking about everything, thinking about all the history here. Brave young men. They were history makers too. I'll bet when they stepped through those gates or rode through them, probably on a bus, they didn't realize they were making history. I bet you they were just proud to be able to defend their own country, their families, their nation, their God. They probably had a lot more to think about than setting history. One of all was learning how to fly fighters and bombers. Gunnery practice, you know, all the regular Army stuff, basic training, and just everyday life. Well, I bet that Sky Club was hopping. You know, in every Army base, and I'm sure the same way in Air Force Marines, it may have changed now since my day. There was always an enlisted men's club and an officers club. Well, if you don't know it, all pilots are officers. Yep, they are. So in most military bases, the Skyway Club would have been the officers club, I'm sure. But like over in Sharps Field, once you see the aerial photography and the number of buildings, and they were housing units. They had water treatment plant, sewer treatment plant. They had mess halls, machine shops, hangars. They had it going on. Well, we're gonna come on in the back way. I see the GoPro still going. We're gonna take 49 around and come in the back way. We're gonna take the scenic way, okay? But by all means, if you got I know you can watch them on Prime, Amazon Prime that is, the Tuskegee Airmen and Red Tails, the movies. You might be able to on Netflix. I know you can rent them on YouTube. I think fairly cheap too, $2.99. And to me, it'd be worth $2.99. I'm just saying. Old 49 got some curves in it. You gotta have your skills here. Yep, I see plum trees in the woods blooming. I'm trying to make a mental note. And see all those little trees coming up on the hillside where they did that clear cut? That's how it is. Now that was clear cut probably 2 years ago, maybe 3. You can see all the new pine coming up. That's all Georgia Pacific land, by the way. I've stuck a dibbler in that land once upon a time too. That's the little thing that makes the hole and you stick the pine tree in. I'm not sure it's called a dibbler, but it sounded good to me. These curves are sharp. Y'all hold on. Cause I got a truck behind me that thinks he's a Mario Andretti. He's probably, you know, in 4-wheel drive on this dry pavement. Or he might have all-wheel drive. Well, he would have if he had it in 4-wheel drive, wouldn't he? Man, it's tough when you get old. Brain don't engage. We have kicked up the pace a little bit ourselves since trying to get our own back to the house before the old GoPro gives up the ghost. But it's just a beautiful day for a drive. The car is doing perfect. Nope, that was one place I wanted to note too. And you may wonder why I said may want to note. You know, salt is a vital essential of life. Gotta have it. Can't go without salt. Woo! That's just like a roller coaster, except sideways. Hang on, folks. We had to cut the inside there a little bit. You know, use the G-force. Well, I got that truck off our rear. He can't hang with old Mario Tom Andretti. I got skills. Maybe not good ones, but I got skills. Oh, but I've enjoyed today. Getting to take y'all out for a ride. Show you some of the history that made our nation great. You see, not all of our history sucks. A lot of it is actually great. I mean, I didn't know they had integrated bathrooms there on Moton Field. And you know, when I was doing a little background research on this, even though Sharps Field was an segregated facility as far as living, all of its other facilities were integrated, such as the dining halls. And that was unheard of in the South, or in many other parts of the nation, I might add, in the 1940s. And just one in the South, folks. Don't make me have to pick names. And all that was wrong, and all of it was bad. And we shouldn't be doing that now. I've said it, I guarantee you 1,000 times in my lifetime. I don't understand. And I never will. I won't understand racism. I've never judged a man, a woman, a child, nothing, based on the color of their skin, where they came from, where they went to school, how much money they had, what their religion was, or even their damn politics. No. I judge people on, you treat me right, I treat you right. You're a good person, I'm a good person. Well, here we are. We made it to 14 alive. I know some of those curves are pretty scary. I heard some of y'all's jaws clenching up back there. I mean, my cheeks got a little bit tight on that one. I sort of hit it a little bit faster than I meant to. That's why I had to take the inside edge. Of course, they got that washboard there now to keep you from doing that. Well, it's supposed to wake you up. Whew. Well, it says drive-thru's open, but that's for the water department. Not my water department, that's Wall Street. Which City of Tallahassee sells them water. So if I think our water rates in Tallahassee are high, ooh, I bet it really sucks to pay water rates in the Wall Street Authority. I'm sure our City of Tallahassee don't give them no break. And then their water authority got to make money too. There's one of my favorite grocery stores, Superfoods. Yep. They ain't got a lot of business today. But I ain't quite to the point of needing to go. I'm really close though. I'm down to freezer bread, which y'all all know I don't care for. As far as I'm concerned, freezer bread is only good for toast. Now I do got some hamburger buns and hot dog buns, which can be multi-purpose. I made some fine peanut butter sandwiches with hamburger buns before. In crunch times, I've even used a hot dog bun. Of course, then there's always saltine crackers. Now, I've flown a plane a time or two or three. Never did it enough to become what you might say a professional pilot. I've flown a helicopter a time or two. Never enough to become a professional. It was just something I wanted to do. Something I wanted to learn. Thought it'd be fun, and it was. But other things in life had to come first. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, it takes a lot of money now, and it always has, to become a pilot. And we just don't have no appreciation for that. You know, anymore in America, we don't even have appreciation for all those people that came before us and fought and died for our freedom. Yep, we don't. I mean, I do, and I know all of y'all do, but there's a whole bunch of others that don't. And we all know that to be true. And that too contributes to the decline of a nation and its people. I don't think there's any other. I know there's more factors, and I'm going to be doing a video about that contribute to the decline of our nation. But I think number one there, surely in the top 5, has got to be respect. Respect of those who came before us, of the sacrifices they made, yeah, of the conditions they lived in and lived through. Well, as you can see, we back in the neighborhood. I mean, my God, we whine now when they don't have our favorite brand of peas or corn. We gotta, you know, maybe get ground beef instead of ground chuck. The ribeyes didn't look good today. I ain't gonna eat no sirloin, you know, that kind of stuff. The avocados were a little bit too squishy. When, you know, back in my day, you could only have avocados a certain time of year. You know, that time when they were in season. Of course, the same way with apples, pears, you know, everything. And, you know, it wouldn't hurt my feelings none if we got back to that. Then maybe people would learn to appreciate and respect what they got and how it got there. It just didn't magically happen, youngins. Nope, the ones before you, they paved the way. Well, here we are, back at the house, and just in the nick of time. So, let's turn off the car, and we'll chat a bit, and then we're gonna call this one done. Well, y'all, there we are. We're back in modern time where we have been since we went over to Moulton Field. You know, I hope when we went through those time portals, it didn't shake you up too much. And I hope you enjoyed the little trip. I know it wasn't much. I'm not the best tour guide. But, like I say, when things finally get back closer to normal, we can always give it a go again. A refresher, you might say. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being out. Got to take a little bit of a ride, a little bit of walkabout. Not too much. Yep, it was windy. And it was brisk. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I hope y'all did too. Maybe you learned something. And that, and maybe, like I say, it'll spark your curiosity or inspire you to learn more. And at the end of this, you'll be seeing the aerial photographs of Sharpsfield as it progressed from 1941 on to modern day. And I'll also leave a link to another site below in the description that commemorates the Tuskegee Airmen and everything, with a lot of pictures, letters. I mean, it's just loaded up of historic photographs, all mementos, stuff like their flight jackets, their equipment, all of that. So in case, you know, you would like to know more. So y'all, that's about all Mr. Tom's got in him for today. Well, I got plenty to do. But that's all of the history lesson and tour. And I do hope this video finds y'all happy, safe and well with your friends, family, and loved ones. And I do hope all of y'all will take care, stay safe out there, and may God bless you, your family, your friends, and loved ones. Till Mr. Tom see you on the next video. Bye for now.